Hi everyone, it's your boy Zach, and I almost don't need to do a review. You can just analyze the tone of my voice from the first couple words. So I just finished the series finale of Star Trek Voyager, and it was just like every other. So this is supposedly a review of the last two episodes of Star Trek Voyager, but it's really just going to be me talking about how much I hate the entire series. So anyway, Avengers Endgame came out last month, and Red Letter Media, Half in the Bag, they did a review of it, and I love that channel. I watch most of their stuff. Mike Stoklasa, kind of like the lead of the show, is famous for being completely obsessed with Star Trek, and he will work it in even when it really has absolutely nothing to do. Sometimes he'll literally start going off on a tangent about Star Trek, and they'll say, "What does this have to do with the movie?" He's like, "Nothing." So at least the Avengers Endgame review had to do with the finale of Voyager because it's called Endgame. Endgame is a two-parter, kind of like Endgame Avengers was, and it's a this two-parter took me 2 days to watch because I literally was watching it like 1 minute at a time. You know, when you watch it on Netflix, it just makes it like one really super long episode. But gee, Josephat, like the whole, I've been with Voyager since whatever 1995 whenever it started. I watched the first episode. I think I was visiting my mom in Abilene, Texas, and the weird thing about Abilene is that it would do the syndicated Star Trek shows like really late at night. I think it was the NBC affiliate, and they would show it after. Yeah, they would show it after Saturday Night Live. So I think TNG started at midnight and Voyager debuted at 1 in the frickin' morning, or maybe even later. Um, and I just always hated it from the beginning. Um, first of all, Voyager is probably the ugliest ship I've ever seen in any Starfleet. They actually had, at the very end of Endgame, they show this fleet, and there's some ship that has four nacelles, and that looked great. But I was talking to my buddy who's more of a Star Trek fan. I was like, what the hell is going on with the Voyager? Like, it's the ugliest ship. It has these teeny tiny nacelles. It doesn't have a saucer section. It looks more of like a Carnival cruise ship. And he goes, "Oh, it was a one of a kind ship, and its big thing that it was alive and it used gel packs." I'm like, what? I mean, I guess I can kind of see where the mycelial network from Discovery started from, although supposedly that's stolen from some video game called Tardigrade. But anyway, I just always hated, I always hated the Voyager. First of all, their whole thing is like, oh, we're stuck in the Delta Quadrant. It'll take us 70 years at warp to get back to the Alpha Quadrant. But like, everything's fine. Everything's fine. Nobody goes insane. Just everyone's okay. It's like they're in the Alpha Quadrant and they just get to go to Risa, or they get to go back to Earth, or they get to go to Kronos. Like, everyone's just sort of fine. In fact, the only toll that it takes on any of the regulars is weight. They all get fat. Well, not all of them. Tom Paris gets fat. Chakotay gets a little thicker. Harry Kim gets a little thicker. Yeah, obviously 7 of 9 stays in good shape. B'Elanna Torres, these trash characters. As much as I was roasting the hell out of Enterprise, I actually kind of had fun. The biggest problem with Enterprise is that Jonathan Archer is a complete piece of shit. He's like a 49-year-old man baby. I was just talking with my buddy how Scott Bakula and Patrick Stewart were like the same age when they started, well, pretty close, when they were both late 40s. And, you know, one has, you know, gravitas and leadership, and one is just a petulant child. I mean, I guess Janeway's an okay captain, but man, does that crew suck ass. They're literally more boring versions of. They basically like split Riker into Chakotay and Tom Paris. So one is tall and stocky and kind of full of himself, and one is like a young ladies' man, but he also, oh, Tom Paris is pretty fat by the end of it. Um, I'd say the only real interesting character is Seven of Nine. Yeah, but even she's a little hard to take, seriously because I mean she looks great. She's super hot, but it's just kind of they did this thing with the show. They did it with Seven of Nine, and then they did it of to Paul. They're like just give him these like skin tight outfits that kind of don't really make sense. Like what? I know she was a Borg and she had a Borg bodysuit, but it's literally like sculpted to her breast. I mean, I'm not complaining, but it's kind of silly, and I keep getting taken out of the story. There's also this really crazy story about Jerry Ryan, where basically Jerry Ryan is the reason that Obama became president. That's wild. You go Google that. Go Google Jerry Ryan and her divorce from Jack Ryan, not the Tom Clancy one, the other one, the one who was divorced from Jerry Ryan. But anyway, it's a timey-wimey thing. So, the whole thing about Voyager is they did 7 seasons and they were trying to get back. And then we start and it's, oh gosh, there's like, what is it? It took them like 16 years more. So it ended up being I think it was 23 years before they got back. And then it's 10 years after that. So Janeway, okay, so first of all, I got to call shenanigans on something. How come in Star Trek Future, like when people are like 66, they're decrepit? The freaking, didn't they do that with TNG in the last episode? They showed it was like 20 years in the future. The freaking Picard would have been like late 60s, early 70s. He's like doddering and he can barely move. They showed Janeway, so it's like, I guess she would have been around 70, but she's okay. Actually, the old age makeup was complete trash in this. So old Janeway wants to save her friend, so she's like, well, I figured out a way. Somebody was talking about when I watched Discovery, and I said the time crystal from Borath was ridiculous, and they go, no, 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 there's a precedent. There's a precedent of just going to some random Klingon. They'll just pull a freaking time crystal out of their ass, and all of a sudden you're time traveling all over the place. I gotta say that Janeway has this ship that has this gun that shoots a time ray or something. It also has the same armor that the Batmobile has in Batman and Batman Returns, where they just kind of like magic plating just kind of appears out of nowhere. The funny thing is later she goes back in time and she gives this armor technology to the Voyager, and they spend like, so dumb. They spend like 3 hours retrofitting, and they're like, she's like, activate shields. And then the big ass Voyager has these magical plates that just appear out of freaking nowhere. Now, yeah, maybe they're energy and they're not really metal, although they look like metal. Or maybe it's literally just like replicator technology, and they're just replicating hull plating. Man, 2001 was really the year of hull plating. After all the energy shields, they reintroduced hull plating at the end of Voyager, and then what do you call it? And then Enterprise, they had deck plating. They didn't even have energy shields. So one thing is that when they do the time jump, so it would be, obviously Voyager was like as far forward as the whole original series, TNG, Deep Space Nine, Voyager. So then Voyager ended in 2001, but then they did a time jump, 16 plus 10, like 26 years. So you got to see what the Federation uniforms looked like then. They kind of looked like trash. I wasn't really impressed with them. Robert Picardo, the Doctor, he marries a woman. That was a plot twist, not because he's hologram. I just always assumed he was gay. the hologram. Anyway, and then the weird thing is that you know the old deal back in the day where they wouldn't tell you something was part one, so you'd start, you know, you'd be in the last 10 minutes of the show and you'd be like, oh, they can't wrap it up this one. They literally wrap up this plot like 1 minute and 45 seconds left in the show, and that even includes like the credits. Like they just kind of like, oh, and we're done, and the Borg cube and the time travel and we did a triple double, we did a reverse, and it was a double cross, and it was a triple cross, and then they're just done. It's like it just feels like they were just sick of being their own show, and they just wanted to get over it. It was the same thing with Enterprise. Enterprise, at least they did like a goof as the last episode. This one, they're just like, yeah, man, yeah, they're back in Earth. Yay. Yay. So anyway, so I hate Voyager. Whatever, 23 is it? Wait, 1995 to 5. Like 24 years later, I still hate this show. Anyway, thanks for watching. Subscribe. Make sure you... Wait, that's the thing I say on the other channel. I'll have another video. I think I'm going to watch the Arrow Season 7 finale tomorrow. Okay, thanks for watching. Bye.